Are you doing the wrong number of reps and actually sabotaging your health? Should you go heavyweight and low reps, or should you go lightweight and high reps? I mean, really, what is the answer? Well, on today's episode of the Meehan Mission podcast, we're going to talk with Eric Barber from Barberic Training. He's going to help break down the strategy behind the reps. So, really, how do they impact strength and muscle and endurance? So, if you're ready to find out the right approach for you, let's welcome Eric to the show and let's get started. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Meehan Mission podcast. And it is our favorite online trainer, Eric Barber with Barberic Training.
Hmm.
Eric, so great to see you today. How you been doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Cathy?
I'm doing great. Actually, I do have to admit my hamstrings are a little bit sore, but I wanted to get you on today because there is a lot of confusion and discussion on reps. And I know me personally, I have the question. I mean, am I supposed to do heavy weights and low reps? Am I supposed to do, light weights and high reps?
Yeah.
Am I trying to bulk up? Am I trying to lose weight? There are so many questions, and I know you are the guy to answer them all. So
Yeah.
let's just start off with that. Um, what does a person need to know about reps, especially if, I'm working out and I want to see certain results? Where do I start? What's the strategy?
I love this topic. I know I say that every time, but I do. I geek out on this stuff. Um, what we're talking about is not just reps. We're talking about sets and reps. Okay. Different
Okay.
training modalities. So
Okay.
to break it, there's a lot of noise out there now. A
Hmm.
lot of know-it-alls, a lot of people saying you got to do this, you got to do that. What I've been doing this for 30, 40 years now. So what I like to do is always go back to the basics, you know. There are people, that paved the way for us a long, long time ago and did all of this work, and we learn from them, and we've been adding to it, and we just get more scientific about it. But then sometimes it just gets to a point where it's just so much data and so much science, and everybody's a know-it-all, and it's getting hard to know the difference between what's real and what's not anymore. So
I agree.
I like to take people back to the basics. Okay. And so the basics are, if you keep your repetitions between 1 to 5 reps, you are training for extreme strength or you are training for power. So when you look at people like Olympic weightlifters, what you see in the Olympics versus
Mhm.
power lifters, right? Huge difference between the actual look of each of those kinds of athletes as well as what they're trying to do. Okay. But they're still using the same rep range. So how in the, like, just starting there alone, like how in the world do you even break into this? So a power lifter, is basically they're training on 3 events, right? The deadlift, the back squat, and the bench press. And those are known as the slow lifts. Okay. So power lifters are going for extreme strength in that 1 rep range, a 1 rep max, right? That's what they train for in 3 events. And to me, it's awesome, but I can't train like that all the time for year after year after year. That would drive me crazy, right? I'm more of a multi athlete adventure style, everything I train for is to be able to do cool things out there, right? So,
Yeah.
but powerlifters, they really are trying to prove how strong they are on those 3 lifts. But they call it the slow lifts because the barbell moves very, very slow. Okay. Now, an Olympic weightlifter, what you see in the Olympics, way more complex. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily harder. It's just more complex of a movement because now you're adding speed. Okay. But their 3 movements are the snatch and the clean and the jerk. The snatch is one movement where you take a barbell from the ground to up and overhead in one fast, explosive movement, right? And the clean and jerk is where you break it up into two movements. You clean it up to your chest, you take a deep breath, and then you punch it overhead for a jerk. Okay? So the back squat, the deadlift, and the bench press for the three slow lifts of powerlifting, and the snatch, the clean, and the jerk for the Olympic lifts, the explosive Olympic weightlifting. So those guys train for 1 rep as well, but two totally different athletes. When you look at a bodybuilder, a power lifter, they're usually big and husky, and they're going for that maximum weight. When you look at an Olympic weightlifter, they're all lean and muscular and ripped, and it's like, what? Well, when you add that speed in there, you have to train a totally different way. So when they train, they usually train in the 1 to 5 rep ranges. Okay. So that's where we start, right? Those guys are extreme athletes,
Extreme, yes.
extreme strength and extreme power. Okay. Um, the Olympic weightlifters are more power, because power is strength plus speed equals power. Okay. Powerlifters, it's kind of they shouldn't really call it powerlifting, because power indicates that they're using speed.
Yeah, you would think. Okay.
Powerlifters, yeah, the bar moves very, very slow when they're lifting those extreme lifts. So anyway, so that's the ability to literally like run through a wall. You know what I mean? That's very
Mhm.
short energy, and it's just boom. I mean, it is power or it is strength. Okay. When you get into reps number 6 through 12, that's more of the hypertrophy stage. Okay. Hypertrophy meaning muscle growth. Okay. You can change your physique. You can change the look of your
Mhm.
body. Like a sculptor with clay, if you want bigger shoulders, you can literally train in a way within that 6 to 12 rep range where you can trigger muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth within certain body parts. Okay.
Okay.
This is where bodybuilders live. Okay. Bodybuilders want to build and sculpt their body. Their reps are in the 6 to 12 rep range. Okay. We'll come back to this. I'll tell you how to train in these ranges, right? But right now, I'm just laying that framework. Laying that framework.
Yeah. No, that's good because
Yeah.
I'm very selfishly doing this interview with you because I'm thinking to myself, where do I need to be? And I'm sure that members of our community, if they're either, they're working out, if they've been working out or they're starting to work out or whatever, they need to know, what they need to know about reps themselves. So when they're conditioning and training their own body. So I'm listening and thinking in my head.
Yep.
So keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
Okay, so we've established the 1 to 5 rep range. This is where those
Okay.
type of athletes live. Okay. The bodybuilder or people just looking to change their appearance, they'll use bodybuilding techniques to change their appearance.
Mhm.
So whether they're a bodybuilder or not, that 6 to 12 rep range is the magic rep range. Okay. When you get into 15 reps and more, it could be 15
Mhm.
reps all the way on up to 100 reps. Okay. Let's say,
Wow.
or more,
Mhm.
or more.
Mhm.
um, Now you're getting into muscle endurance. You're not going to be very strong when you pick a weight that you do 30 times. You're going to be using a pretty light weight. But what you're training your body to do is muscle endurance, muscle endurance, muscle endurance. So when you look at endurance athletes like cyclists and people like that, they tend to lean more towards the higher rep ranges. You're not going to see a lot of top tier cyclists doing 1 to 5 rep ranges.
Okay, and that makes sense.
Just like
That
you're
makes
not going to
sense.
see a power
Yeah.
lifter hop on a bike and ride for 3 hours, right? Like
Yeah.
the different rep ranges do different things to your body, do different things to your body. So that 15 rep range and up can go up and up and up and up. So CrossFit is very, very interesting. CrossFit,
Mm.
it's changed a lot since I was in on the ground floor with all of that. I got started in 2006. Um, I think I was the first official CrossFit gym in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was the 150th affiliate worldwide. Okay. So
Wow.
now there's over 15,000. So I was back in the very early days, back before we had all the cool equipment and everything. We had to build a lot of our own equipment. It was crazy. I had to build my own pull-up rig. It was crazy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, but CrossFitters, at least back in the early days, very, very interesting because our rep ranges were anywhere between 1 rep, like a power lifter or an
Mhm,
Olympic weightlifter,
mhm.
all the way on up to hundreds of reps for one exercise. So what I
Oh
loved
my.
about CrossFit was I got to be good at all things. Now, over the years, CrossFit has changed and now it's become, well, I don't know, it's just very heavily focused on competing. Whereas in the beginning, it used to be a lot about, it was all fresh and new, and we were trying different things and we were guinea pigging ourselves on everything. And it was just a wonderful golden era learning stage of CrossFit. Now it's very, very different. It's much, much more professional and much sleeker and quite frankly, very competition based, even within local gyms. So
Mhm.
um yeah, now I'm not saying anything bad about CrossFit. I got out right before COVID. I sold my CrossFit gym. And so that was my last time coaching CrossFit. Although funny thing, I just recently started at a CrossFit here in Charlotte, North Carolina as just a substitute coach. Yeah.
Oh,
I
fun.
did that because now that I'm an online trainer, I literally sit in my room in my office all the time working. And I go
Oh,
from
well,
being an in-person coach, yelling, screaming, cheering, hugging, scolding, all very, very, very people oriented, to now I'm just by myself. And so I was just praying about it, and I was like, I need to get back in front of people. I need to have that balance again. So
yeah,
uh,
that's very healthy.
yeah,
It's very healthy, and people need
yep.
to realize that themselves too.
So I went to
You
a
know, you
really,
can
I
only
went to
be
a
so isolated.
yeah,
Mhm.
I went to a
Good.
really cool local CrossFit gym here. It's huge. And I told them who I was and how long I'd been doing it and all of my experience and all my credentials and all my certifications. And they were like, come on. It was awesome.
Come
So I love
on.
those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, more on that in the future. I just started this week. It was great. I'm just
Great.
coaching one night a week, and it's a blast. I love it. So anyways, so those CrossFitters are very interesting because we do all rep ranges, and it confuses the body a lot, which is really cool.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
body has an amazing ability to adapt. The human body has an
Yes.
amazing ability to adapt. And so when you're training with all rep ranges, your body is just like, man, we got to get in shape because who knows what this guy's going to do to us again. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
yeah, so those are the basics of the rep ranges. You've got your 1 to 5, you've got your 6 to 12, and then you've got anything past 15.
Okay. Okay, well, that's interesting, and I just wanna kind of hit back on the high reps because just something that I've heard is that if people are looking for fat loss, and I'm sure you've heard this before, that you have to do high reps. So what is your take on that? Is that a myth or is that true?
It's old school.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
It's old school way of thinking. To
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I'm gonna lift light weights because I wanna lose fat," it's kinda like saying, I don't wanna get all big and muscular overnight. Like, I don't wanna be like these muscle dudes. So I'm just gonna go lightweight and do 1,000 reps on something, and I'm just gonna lose fat." That's kinda not the way it works.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before, but, um, you know, when you wanna lose body fat, you need to look, number 1, at your nutrition. Nutrition
Yes, absolutely, and
nutrition is
I just
king.
had that I I had that discussion less than an hour ago with someone
Yep.
talking about, my weight loss came from, yes, working out, but I mean, I think 80% of it was
Oh, yeah.
because of my tweaking my
Yeah.
nutrition,
Yeah.
and that was it.
So
Uh-huh.
nutrition is king.
Mhm,
There's no
mhm,
nutrition is king. When you're in your 20s, it doesn't seem like that because you have unlimited energy and you're bulletproof and your body, can bounce back
mhm.
from anything the next day, right?
Yes.
Um, but in your 20s, your body is still progressing up. It's when we get in our 30s that it starts to kind of plateau and then starts the age of decline, right? So young people are all over Instagram and they look amazing and this and that, and they're giving all kinds of advice, but they don't really know because their body is still just on.
They're still
It's
living
just,
the
yeah,
life.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I,
You just
I,
wait. You just wait.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it's better to always start with your nutrition first. That's what I do with all my clients,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And the trick is with my clients to get them leaned out and eating well is to make it fun because people will not follow a meal plan that is an absolute drag or it's too complex or it's too hard.
mhm.
People just won't do it.
Yes,
Not over
correct.
time. They might be able to keep it up for a couple weeks, but over time, no way. No way. You've got to make it fun. So I always start with nutrition. And then after that, you get into cardio and you've got your zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5, right? And zone 2 is that perfect heart rate range to maximize losing body fat. If you go too high, your body will start to use muscle glycogen, muscle energy, right? We don't want that when we want to lean out. We want to tap into our stored body fat. So you want your heart rate a little bit higher than just going out for a walk, and you want it a little bit lower than being out of breath. That's your zone 2. If people want to check out, I did a cool video on that on my Instagram and Facebook. If anybody wants to go that, I've literally labeled it zone. So zone training.
Great. That'll be a good
Yeah.
resource.
So nutrition and then fat burning cardio. Okay.
Mhm.
When you're training with light weights and doing tons of reps, I wouldn't say that it's a true fat burning. You know what I mean? I think it's more muscle endurance. You're teaching that body how to handle low grade muscular pain, giving you muscle endurance. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's more to that. There's more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's talk about people's goals. You mentioned fat loss. So the person that wants to build muscles, let's say we've started working out and then now we just want to continue to build muscles. My guess is that for me personally, I need to move into the moderate reps,
Yeah.
right? And maybe a little bit heavier
Right.
weights. And okay,
So the
that's
data is coming out now. Finally, well, the data's been out for a long time, but the general and the bodybuilders and a lot of us have already known all this, but the general public is finally starting to listen now, because guys like Dr. Andrew Huberman and all these guys are coming out and they're proving that as we age, strength training with heavy weights, with good form, not sloppy form, but with good form,
mhm.
training heavy weights is really going to help extend your lifespan. It's going to give you a better quality of life. And people are like, oh, I need to start lifting heavy. And it's like, that's what we've been telling you for all these years, right? So, literally, when you think of elderly people, they lose the ability to function, to get up out of a chair. It's the loss of strength,
Mm,
really,
yeah,
so, and
yes.
then your bones get more brittle and that kind of thing. So, yes, that 6 to 12 rep range, I guess you could say 6 to 14 because I said 15 plus, right?
Mm.
But if you think about it, when you and I started working out together, I put you on a 15, 12, 10, 8 workout.
Yes.
15 was a good warm up weight. It's your first set on an
Mhm,
exercise, right? And it's just
mhm,
meant to just kind of wake your muscles up, wake up those movement patterns, right?
mhm.
And just get your body kind of clicked on to, "Well, okay, we're doing a leg extension now, or we're doing a bench press now, or something like it. Just kind of wakes your body up and it's
Yeah,
like saying, this is what we're doing now. And it's with a light enough weight that you flood the body with uh, circulation and you're starting to lubricate the joints better, that kind of thing. So then
yeah.
I have you,
Just get used to the movement.
yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I had you go a little bit heavier for a set of 12, then a little bit heavier for a set of 10, and then a little bit heavier for a set of 8.
Yes.
Now, in your third month of training with me, the last month of my 12-week challenge, we bumped it up to a 15, 12, 10, 8, and then a burnout set of 15. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
I had you go
Yes.
back to a lighter weight
I
and just
remember
just
those.
shoot for that burn, right? With my
Yes.
guys that want to put on a lot of muscle, I'll have them do a 15, 12, 10, 8, 6. That way they can hit that heavy set of 8 and 6. Okay? Yep. So that
Sounds
to
good.
me is muscle strengthening, but you've got higher
Mhm.
reps in there and you've got lower reps in there. So to me, it's like the perfect range for building strength, building power, um,
Hmm.
hypertrophy,
Endurance is in
yep,
there. Yeah.
building muscle endurance,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
changing the way that you look. Like I said,
Yeah.
I love
It's
this
all in there.
stuff. I geek out on it. I think beginners should start with 3 sets of everything, and I think
Hmm.
as you get in better shape as the months go by, you bump it up to 4 sets on everything, you bump it up to 5 sets on everything. When you start
Hmm.
getting into, because we talked about reps, so if we can just take a second and talk about sets, how many of these sets
Yes.
do I
Yeah.
do?
Explain that
Yeah,
sets and reps.
beginners 3
What's the
sets.
definition of that?
Yeah,
Hmm.
beginners 3 sets. You just need a good solid month of not training hard but training consistent. In the beginning, consistency will always be better than intensity. Always.
I agree.
Getting those
Yes.
workouts in the first month is way more
Mhm.
important than somebody who's like, dang it, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to get back in shape. And they go in, they hit it too hard, and they either burn out from fatigue or
Yeah.
adrenal fatigue or muscle fatigue, whatever, or they start having joint issues right off the bat. They just haven't given enough time to be consistent
Hmm.
with 3 sets of everything and making it a habit. Okay.
Hmm.
Second month, you can bump it up to 4 sets. Third month, you can bump it up to 5 sets. When you start getting into more sets per exercise of 5 sets, that's where it's getting kind of extreme. You're either training for something in particular, okay,
Hmm.
like training for a certain sport or training for a certain lift or something. Like, I just think it's a little bit unnecessary. Okay. Now,
Okay.
I've done workouts where I'll get to the fifth set and I'm like, man, I feel like I misjudged my numbers. I'm feeling a lot like I want to keep going. So every once in
Hmm.
a while, I'll be instinctive and I'll do like a sixth or seventh set on something. Every once in a while, I'm kind of crazy. Every once in a while, I'll do 10 sets of 10 on something, but it is not a fun way to train.
So, what about if rather than increasing the number of sets, increasing the weight? You see what I'm saying? And so, like, rather doing 4 sets of something, I do 3 sets, but increase the weight that I was doing
Yeah, so
before.
that's
Does
what I
that make
meant. So,
sense?
like, when I had you in your
Okay.
first month, 3 sets, we did a
Hmm.
15, 12, 10, and
Hmm.
progressively increasing the weight a little bit.
Hmm.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
when
Yes.
you see some people's programming, I see some trainers programming, and it'll be something like 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 12. I think that we should progressively get heavier each set. That's how we get
Okay.
stronger.
Do the variable, like you're doing.
You
Yeah.
kind of learn your way around the gym. You kind of learn your way around each exercise and learning what different plates feel like and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
For me, going in the gym, if I had, let's say, my workout had 5 exercises, and each of those 5 exercises was 5 sets of those 5 exercises, right? And it was like 5 sets of 10. So like 5 sets of
Hmm.
5 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10, all the way down. That would, to me, that would be very boring.
Yeah.
I
I,
like I
it,
like progressive.
easier to keep track of in your head, though. But
Yep, it
yeah.
is. Yep, it is for
Yeah.
sure. But I like the progressively heavier. Plus, that helps us reach our goals of getting stronger. Okay. Now, the
Hmm.
best part of training like that, well, I'm assuming that they're taking notes somehow, whether it's on an app or whether, like, I'm old school, I write all my workouts on paper, right? Keep them in.
A little notebook.
Nope.
I
Oh,
have a
yep.
little notebook.
I'm
Yeah.
still old school. I have a stack of them chest high in my storage unit. Um, I love it. I like the apps too because the apps will give you graphs and stuff. It's really cool, you know? You can find things instantly, but I've also had apps crash on me before, and I don't like that. I don't like when all my hard work disappears. So, anyways, so whatever works for you, right? But
Mhm.
when you train like that for a month, and by the end of the month, you're like, holy crap, sorry, holy moly, my set of 15, 12, and 10 was so weak compared to what I'm doing now. Like, you can see the progress over that 1 month. I
Mhm.
love that. I love seeing progress. I'm always trying to make myself better, always trying to look for progress. And then when life hits you, below the belt and you have to drop a knee and all of a sudden you can't work out for 2 months and you got to kind of start back over from zero. You've got all your numbers, you've got what you started at before and you get back, you know what I mean? And it just
Mhm.
builds and builds and builds. And then you just become really good at going to the gym and knowing how to work out and what weights to use and stuff. Is this helping at all?
Yeah. Yeah, it does, it does. And I really love the point, the very beginning is consistency. because once you establish that consistency, you change your entire lifestyle and you make priorities for it. And people ask me about, how do I stay, oh, what is the word? Motivated, and how do I stay, just consistent? And it's like, because I started with consistency. And I just tell people, you have, number one, you've got to, it's the mindset. You have to dedicate. I dedicated 90 days. I was like, 90 days, I can do anything for 90 days. You started me out on consistency. So I started with consistency, just developed a whole new lifestyle and my pattern. And maintained that. And, you get all those benefits of, cognitively, physically. I mean, there's just the energy, all of those things that I don't it was worth the risk of changing my life to the reward that I got. And I just, I can't emphasize that enough to people, that if you've been thinking about working out, or it's like, "Oh, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't," stop. Because you can do it. I mean, and we even talked about, the financial aspects of it, and one of the other ones, you can start in a home gym. I mean, there's just so many things. Or, there's $10 gyms.
Right.
They're all over the place. So, finances should not be a barrier for anyone.
We
And
should do a
yeah.
podcast on that sometime because the cost of
Mhm.
not training, right?
Yeah,
The
that's good.
cost of
That's a good
not
one. Yeah.
hiring a the cost of not hiring a personal trainer or an online coach, or the cost of um, you know, building your own
Yeah.
home or whatever, right? Anything
Mhm.
put into your fitness, if you're consistent with it, it's going to pay you back in
Mhm.
spades. You
Yeah. And also the point of hiring a coach, whether it's a, in person or online, because you even talked about it on form. If you're not doing the correct form, then that's going to cause injury.
Right.
And that's, you definitely don't want to cause injury. And especially if it's been a while since you've worked out, or you're just new to the whole idea of working out. It really, really would be like so beneficial to make sure you've got a coach and someone, directing you along the way so that you can, do it the right way. Because the last thing you want to do is injure yourself or get burned out on that.
Yeah, especially as we get older, right? So yeah,
Mhm.
that's but
I'm not getting older. What are you talking about?
we should do a podcast on the cost, of not working out versus the cost of working out. That would be really cool.
Okay.
Um,
We'll do that on our next month since we are
I
doing these monthly. So we'll do that.
sometimes
We'll work on that.
I get people that are like, "Oh, I could never afford you." Just their knee-jerk reaction is, "Oh, I could never afford a trainer," right?
Hmm.
And I challenge that. I challenge that because going out to eat at restaurants all the time or ordering food in all the time. I mean, if you think about the drive to a restaurant, having to sit there, having to wait, get everybody situated, you got to wait for your waiter. And then they get there, you order your food. There's the temptation to always eat appetizers and eat desserts and then have drinks with that. And, God forbid, I mean, not God forbid, but I mean, if you're having to pay for not just yourself and your partner, let's say you've got kids thrown in, when that's your lifestyle, that's an easy $1,000 or $2,000 a month. You know what I mean? So I try to help my clients fall back in love with the kitchen again, or if they've never done that before, fall in love with it for the first time. Cooking in your own kitchen is fun. Like you can make it fun. Your
Absolutely.
own
Absolutely. I
spices. It's
love
what
meal prepping.
Yeah, meal prepping is fun. You get to make
Mhm.
the foods taste the way that you want them to. You get to choose the ingredients, right? You don't have to worry about somebody who might be sick in the back, but needs the money and they don't want to risk giving up that shift because maybe they need the
Oh
money. So they
gosh.
come into work
I never even thought
kind
of
of
that
sick. So
until now, but thank you.
you've
Yeah.
got two, three, four different hands handling your food in the back of a restaurant. And right now, restaurant eating and foodies and all that, it's sexy now, like the foodie thing and just restaurant. I'm like, man, you're wasting so much money. And then you have to tip on top of that, right? And so what should cost you, you know, you know, maybe 25% or less to cook at home you're spending 3/4 more money on to eat it out at a restaurant, plus all the drive time, plus every once in a while you get bad food. I just to me, it's just I don't know. I've been living like this for a long, long time, and I think I love my kitchen, and I love feeding people when they come over. I
Mhm.
love it. I love the
That's
looks
good.
on their faces when they're like, "This is really healthy and it tastes good." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know."
It's simple ingredients and simple ingredients. Well, I make note to people that say that they can't afford to eat organic or healthy foods when you actually look at what people are purchasing. So stop purchasing the soda pop and the, prepackaged food items and, whether it's Twinkies or, whatever that and instead get whole foods, shop the outside of the grocery store and prepare your own meals.
Right.
Um, that it's not going to cost if more, not that much more. So it's just, you just have to be wise
Yeah.
in prior planning, really is what it is. Okay, let's get back on reps. So question. I just have a couple of quick ones. I think we kind of talked about it, but what is more important, weight or the number of reps for people? It's a
Well,
trick question.
when you're training, you want to choose weights, and this is hard in the beginning. If you
Mhm.
remember when I give you your workout program, your first week going into the gym, I was like, now everything doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Eric's got me going to a seated leg curl. And what's this for? This is for hamstrings. You watch the video on the correct form. You're like, okay, got it. There's the machine. You set it all up and everything, and you start, okay, I need to start with a lightweight 15 reps. A lot of times you're just guessing in the beginning and you put it,
Yes,
and right off the
guessing.
bat, it's too heavy. Or right off the bat, it's way too light. You get to 15 and you're like, I could keep going for another 15, right?
Mhm.
So in the beginning, there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of hit or miss, right? But if you're taking notes and you're writing it down, then you can build upon that from week to week to week, right? So I would say that it's not necessarily the amount of weight that you can lift. Because some days I go to the gym and I feel like crap and I can't lift heavy. Other days I go to the gym and I'm like, what am I feeling like? I feel like a horse right now. Like I feel like I can handle anything. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily about the weight, I don't think. And it's not necessarily about the number of reps. We just use that as a guide. What I care about, what I think about all the time, I've been training for 35 years, and every time I go to the gym, I am thinking about quality of reps.
Good point. Good
So I
point.
don't automate. There's a lot of my buddies still to this day
Mhm.
that they only care about the amount of weight that they lift every single workout. And I'm like, man, my body changes from day to day. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
get good sleep the night before. Maybe I drank too much coffee. I don't know, whatever, but I'm just not feeling super strong that day. It's better to just get that workout in with lighter weights, right?
Mm.
Instead of having to
Such a good point.
fuel my ego and have to use what I'm used to lifting. So I love training. I keep it very fluid. I go with what my body's telling me.
That's
Some
very important.
bodies tell me I can go heavier. Other days it tells me no, let's scale back a bit. So I wouldn't say it's the weight, and I wouldn't say that it's necessarily 15, 12, 10, 8. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily the reps. To me, we use those as guides, the strength and or the amount of weight and the rep scheme, right?
Mhm.
And we worry about the quality of the reps, the actual workout itself. You want to stimulate the muscle, not annihilate it. Okay. So if there is one of the things that I struggle with sometimes with CrossFit is, the workout will be up there on the board and it will say something like, and I used to program this stuff because I was crazy back then, but it would be like, here's the workout: 100 pull ups, 200 push ups, 300 squats.
Dang.
Okay, that's all right. That's pretty salty. And so when you get towards rep number 78 and 79 on pull-ups, at that point you're like, I just want to be done with these. My back was thrashed by rep number
Mhm.
50. And then you start getting into sloppy reps. Okay.
Mm.
Now, there's a whole argument about, do we have to train perfect all the time, or is it okay to have a little bit of slop in your training because your body will adapt to real life whenever you get, when because life is not perfect movement patterns, right? So there is truth to that, that it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. So it's the body is so complex. Like everybody tries to sound like an expert and say you got to do this, you got to do that, but there's a little bit of truth in everything, you know. And so
Well,
I try to shoot for quality reps all the time. But when I'm training high rep training with tough workouts and tough weights, I allow a little bit of, not slop. I don't get sloppy. I just a little bit of cheating or something like that to help
mhm,
keep the weight moving or keep my body moving. But that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare. For the most part, I'm thinking about really stimulating the muscle, not annihilating it. Okay. And the more you annihilate, so on those workouts, like what I just mentioned, you're annihilating the muscle. 100 pull ups, you're smoking your lats and your back muscles. 200 push ups, so you're annihilating it. Now you need
mhm.
more rest after that. You're going to need 2, 3, 4 days more rest. Whereas if you just go into the gym and you stimulate the muscle, you'll be able to get more workouts in without it so much afterwards pain.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and what you said is just, really, you just need to read your body
Yeah.
because, so many things. I mean, if you're tired, I went yesterday and I hardly had sleep the night before because I had a lot of work to do, and I didn't feel like going to the gym, so I just basically went through the motions.
Yeah.
You know, I went
Perfect.
in, went through the motions,
Yep.
and got out of there, and then, but some days my body's feeling great and I don't ever wanna leave the gym and
Right.
I just keep working
I know.
out.
I know.
So
Yeah.
so that's the way that goes, so well, Eric, have we covered a lot of things between low, moderate, high reps and weights and everything that,
I think so.
anything you need to add to that?
Probably a little overkill for the average listener, for the average,
Mhm.
person listening to this, but it's kind of fun to geek out on it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just sometimes I think a lot of people out there are making it so confusing, and they try to sound super
Mhm.
technical or super scientific or super smart. I like to always take it back to the basics and just learn, you know,
Mhm.
learn from the basics and then apply to our own lives what we learn from those
Yeah,
that have gone before us. You know what I mean? And
I
I
love
think
that.
what I said about 3 to 5 sets per exercise, building up to that over time, starting with 3, building up to 5, is a pretty good, safe way to train. I think training in that 6 rep to 14 rep range is pretty much what 80%, 90% of the people out there need to be doing. You've got your 10%, your 20%, your outliers that are training for a certain something or a certain event or a
Mhm.
certain lifestyle. But I found at 56 now, I think I'm 56, um, I train low reps all the way up to high reps so that I'm able to go out and spend the day, surfing with my kids or rock climbing out at the Whitewater Center or whitewater rafting, or you know what I mean? Like I like
Mhm.
training with all rep schemes so I
Mhm.
can go out and live a pretty adventurous life even in my 50s. Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
So, Eric, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to find you?
So barberictraining.com. But I
Okay.
post 2, 3 posts a week on my Instagram, which is barberic_training, and my Facebook is simply Eric Barber.
Great,
Yeah.
great. It is always fun to have you on. I look forward to next month's podcast with you. And until then, everybody out there, just please share, like, get working out if you haven't started yet. And I would love to hear anybody else's success story because I know I personally, Eric, changed my life. I live to work out and
Huge
it has
change.
made such a difference. And so, everybody, I want you to have the same blessing that I got. So, everyone, take care. Have a very blessed day. And Eric, we'll catch you next
All
month.
right.
Thanks so
Thanks for
much.
having me.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.